Alex Popple. I'm the 4-H agent here in Breckinridge County, part of UK's College of Ag, Food and Environment's Cooperative Extension Service. And today we are continuing our exploration of the heritage arts. So yesterday we made a paper bowl, and today we're going to be honoring quilting through an art project. And quilting has been around for thousands of years. It was practical, providing warmth, and it was a way to upcycle or reuse scraps of fabric instead of throwing them away and wasting them. Those scraps of fabric were put into a functional use in a quilt, and they're very beautiful. And the patterns have changed over time, but they represent stories or legends or family history, and there's meaning behind every single quilt block pattern. And today I have an example of one of the quilts my grandmother made, and it has a fan motif that was very popular in the 1800s, reflecting the interest in Asian culture at the time. But this is a very, very traditional pattern with the fan motif. And these two particular fabrics right here, the yellow and the blue with the stars, are actually scraps from some of my childhood clothing. So my grandmother, who means the world to me, actually used some of my childhood clothing in that particular quilt. So I'm going to be honoring her today and trying to replicate that particular quilt with the fan motif. So we'll go ahead and get started. For this particular project, we're going to need a canvas and paint. And I'm just going to take a little artistic license, and we're going to do a slightly different variation of the colors. So I'm going to be painting the canvas a beautiful rich gray color. So I've just mixed some black and white acrylic paint, and I'm using a large acrylic brush, and we're just going to spread and cover the entire canvas in this beautiful gray. So you would just continue that, making sure to get the sides as well. You know, make sure you have a finished piece. You want the sides of your canvas covered, especially if you have a stretched canvas. And I'm not going to sit here and cover the entire canvas for this video, but you get the idea. You're going to cover and have one solid gray canvas ready. So that's what I've done here. I've gone ahead and painted the entire canvas gray, and I've allowed it to dry. And again, it's a very deep, rich gray color, which I think goes really well with the yellow and blue that we're going to be using. Now, instead of pink, the outside of my quilt block is going to be that blue color to match the fan motif inside. So I just have a nice straight edge brush, and I'm gonna grab some cobalt blue and just create that border. And this may take 2 coats. The finished product that's on the easel over there actually required 2 to 3 coats in certain places. So don't worry about trying to put it on super thick. It's okay to allow it to dry and then go back and add an additional layer. And you want to make sure it's nice and smooth. You don't want any clumps. All right. And you would just continue that all the way around, creating a nice blue border. Now on this particular canvas, I've gone ahead and created that blue border, and as I said, I have about 2 to 3 coats on that cobalt blue. And the first thing we're going to do is draw the fan. So shout out to Miss Sherry at the extension office. She gave me this idea that our quilters that are part of our Breckinridge County clothesline of quilts, this is one of the techniques they use when they have curved patterns, is using a string and a pencil to mark off those curves. And if you're interested in the Clothesline of Quilts program, please check out the link above. But it's a great way to get inspiration for this project and find out about some great ag tourism going on in our program. So if you have any questions about the Clothesline for Quilts program, please make sure to contact our FCS agent, Miss Lynette Allen. So I'm going to use their tip, and I'm just wrapping a string around my pencil, my 4-H pencil. And to create that fan shape, I'm going to put my finger in the corner, and I'm just going to draw down the fan. So you can kind of eyeball it and figure out how big your fan needs to be. So I feel like that's pretty good. All right, and so this is marking the edge of the fan, and what I'm going to do is go in and paint the entire fan for now yellow. So I'm just going to grab another acrylic brush and start painting that yellow. And you can tape it off. That way your lines are nice and neat. And this is definitely going to require 2 to 3 coats. So again, don't worry about, soaking it in acrylic paint your first time out. It's okay to take it easy, relax, and do a few coats. All right. So again, you could tape this off and then finish 2 or 3 coats of the yellow. Once you're done creating the yellow, you'll end up with something like this. Now, for the sake of the video, just so you can see it a little easier, I've gone ahead and marked all my pencil markings and my template with Sharpie. But when you do this at home, you probably don't want the Sharpie marks visible. So instead, use a very faint pencil line, or I recommend chalk to chalk out your design, and then use tape to tape it off. But once you have your design for your fan motif taped off, you're going to paint every other block blue. And the trend today is that it's going to require 2 to 3 coats. So this project requires a little bit of patience, but it's a lot of fun. You get to be creative and a little messy, and it's well worth it when you see it at the end. So you'll just keep painting, again, every other block blue, and let that dry. Okay, so you kind of get the idea. And what you'll end up with is a piece that looks like this, and you'll just dip a very old, stiff brush. Find the oldest, stiffest brush in your collection at home, and you're going to dip that in the white paint, dab off some of the excess. And then what I recommend is using a piece of paper to block off the sections that you don't want the stars to be on, and then you're just going to rub your thumb across the brush, and that's going to shoot a little white speckles of paint to represent the stars on all of the blue blocks. So be careful when you're doing this. Make sure that you've blocked off everywhere you don't want those stars to shine, okay? Once you do that, you'll end up with your finished quilt block that is an artistic representation of my grandmother's fan motif quilt. So check out the quilts in your own home, do a little research, and find out what story, legend, or family history that particular motif represents. And then I encourage you to use your acrylic paints and canvases to create your own quilt block. And this is a Heritage Division craft that you can enter in our 4-H festival and qualify for the state fair. So post your pictures below in the comments on our Facebook page, and happy quilting!